Elena Hayes never believed her signature could change her destiny, but the moment her pen touched that crisp white paper, she unknowingly sold her piece to the devil himself, Alexander Vance, the ruthless millionaire who ruled New York's business world like a cold-hearted king. The rain was pounding outside his glass tower that night, thunder echoing against the skyline as she clutched her worn leather bag close, her breath trembling with fear and determination. She needed money, fast, for her mother's surgery. Desperation drove her to a world she never belonged in, the world of the rich, the powerful, and the dangerously beautiful. Alexander sat behind his marble desk, eyes as sharp as the blade of a knife, his perfectly tailored suit doing nothing to hide the predator beneath. "You understand what you're signing, Miss Hayes." His deep voice carried no emotion, no warmth. 2 years under contract. My rules. My conditions. You bear the children, and in return, I pay the full amount up front. Elena swallowed hard, her heart screaming to run, yet her mother's frail face flashed before her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. "I understand." The sound of the pen scratching across the paper sealed her fate. He stood, tall and commanding, the storm outside almost bowing to his presence. "Then from this moment," he said, his voice like velvet over steel, "your life no longer belongs to you, Elena. It belongs to me." From that day forward, her world changed. Alexander's mansion was vast, echoing with silence and secrets. Servants moved like shadows, and every corner seemed to hold its breath when he entered. He never smiled. Never laughed. Yet, when he looked at her, there was something dark behind his eyes, something wounded, something dangerous. The contract was simple on paper, but living under his roof was anything but. He controlled her schedule, her meals, even her moments of peace. Yet, what terrified her most wasn't his dominance, it was the flicker of warmth she sometimes caught in his gaze. One night, when she couldn't sleep, Elena found herself wandering into the grand library, drawn by the smell of old books and rain against the windows. She didn't expect him there, standing by the fireplace, a glass of whiskey in his hand, the flames painting his features in shades of gold and sorrow. "Can't sleep?" he asked quietly. She froze, unsure if she was allowed to answer. "No, Mr. Vance," she murmured, her voice soft as silk. He turned, his eyes finding hers. "Call me Alexander," he said, and for a moment the ice cracked, revealing the men beneath, lonely, haunted, human. That night, for the first time, he told her about his past, about betrayal, about a woman who had destroyed his trust, and the child he lost before ever holding. "Love is a lie, Elena," he said, staring into the flames. "It's a weakness I can't afford again." She wanted to argue, to tell him that love wasn't weakness, it was survival. But she stayed silent, knowing the wall he'd built was higher than any she could climb. Days turned into weeks, and soon, the impossible happened, Elena was pregnant. Twins. 2 tiny lives she could feel growing inside her, reminding her every day of the deal she'd made, and the men she'd made it with. When Alexander found out, his reaction was not what she expected. There was no joy, no excitement, only silence. He simply turned away, muttering, "Good. The contract is being fulfilled." But behind closed doors, he lingered near her more often. He noticed when she was tired, ordered the chef to prepare what she craved, and once, when she slipped on the marble stairs, he caught her before she hit the ground, holding her as if she was something precious. "Be careful," he whispered harshly, his voice shaking. I won't lose again." Something in his tone made her heart twist painfully. Was this the same man who once claimed love was a lie? As her belly grew, so did the tension between them. The air around them buzzed with emotions neither dared to name. Every accidental touch burned, every glance lasted too long. One evening, when a sudden storm cut the power, they found themselves standing in the dark hallway, inches apart, the lightning flashing through the windows illuminating their faces. "Why do you look at me like that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Because you make me forget who I am," he whispered, before turning away. That night, Elena couldn't sleep again, not because of fear, but because of the ache in her chest. Months later, after the birth of the twins, 2 beautiful boys with his dark hair and her eyes, Elena thought her purpose was complete. The contract stated she'd leave once the children were safely born. She packed her bags quietly one morning, tears slipping down her cheeks as she looked at the sleeping babies one last time. She had promised herself not to fall for him, and yet, somewhere between his anger and his rare moments of care, she had. When she reached the grand foyer, Alexander was already waiting, dressed sharply as ever, his expression unreadable. "Where are you going?" he asked coldly. "The contract is over," she said softly, not meeting his eyes. "I held my end of the deal. I'm leaving." He took a slow step forward, his gaze hardening. "You think you can just walk away?" His voice was low, dangerous. "I paid for your loyalty, Elena. I paid for your body. But somewhere along the way, you gave me something more, and I'm not letting that go." She looked up at him, her eyes full of pain. "You can't own love, Alexander." He stepped closer, his breath brushing her ear. "Then why are you crying?" he whispered. In that moment, she realized he wasn't just fighting her, he was fighting himself. His heart, his past, his fear. She could see it in the way his jaw tightened, the way his hands shook even as he tried to control her. "You can't keep me here," she said, tears streaking her cheeks. He looked at her long and hard, then finally said the words that shattered her soul. "Watch me." She ran, not from the mansion, but from the truth that scared her more than anything, that she had fallen in love with a man who didn't believe in love. Behind her, Alexander watched her go, every muscle in his body screaming to stop her. The babies cried from upstairs, their soft wails echoing through the house, pulling at the part of him he'd buried years ago. He clenched his fists, his voice breaking the silence. "You can run, Elena," he murmured, "but I'll find you. You and our children belong with me." Outside, rain began to fall again, just like the night they first met, washing away the city's lights, but not the fire that now burned between them. Fate had written their story in ink too dark to erase. The contract had ended, but their hearts were bound by something far deeper, something neither could walk away from. And as the screen fades to black, a soft voice whispers. "Sparkles, if you want to know what happens when love challenges pride, when a broken man learns to feel again, and when a woman dares to fight for her heart, subscribe now, because their story is only just beginning."